Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Wine, Women, and Words. And with me tonight, as always, is Michelle.
Hello.
And joining us as our wonderful special guest is Vanta M. Black. Thank you for joining us, Vanta.
You bet. It's a pleasure to be here.
I know, it's fun to finally get you on the show. You've been like one of the wish list guests. I'm like, I got to get her on.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we are going to talk tonight about your book, The Oubliettes.
Yes. This is it. This is the book.
So before we get started, what's everybody drinking? If we have drinks.
Well, I know we have drinks.
Oh, yes. You came prepared. I love it. What are you drinking tonight?
I did. You know what? Is it okay if I give this a little shout out?
Absolutely.
It's Black Chateau, a very bookish blend.
Ooh, yes.
It's a red, it's a blend. I love blends.
Mm-hmm.
I love things that are kind of thick and rich, and yeah, so I cracked it open just for you guys tonight.
Oh, yay. I feel so special. We get the special one tonight.
Yeah.
And it is such a lovely wine. I do enjoy it because I got my hands on the bottle, guys, and it's good. You've had this wine too, Michelle, haven't you? Because you got a bottle too.
I have it. I do have it. I keep feeling like this is like a big wine. Like I need to open it for a big book. I feel like it just has like special occasion marked on it. My mom was here a couple weeks ago and she was going through my wine fridge and she's like, "What is this?" And I said, "Oh, we got that from a friend through the show." And I'm just kind of like saving it for a special occasion. Maybe I'll open it when one of our books gets published.
Oh, there you go.
Celebratory wines. I like the way you think.
Yes.
So, Michelle, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, I opened a new one of my Wink wines. This is called Rosa Obscura.
Oh, how is that? I haven't opened that one yet.
It's really good. It's sticking to the theme of red blend, so I'm glad everyone got the memo.
Mm-hmm.
And where is this one from? This is a California wine. It's really good. I like it. It's very smooth.
Ooh. They have their red wines that they're coming out with are so smooth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually not drinking a Wink wine tonight. I am drinking a Gewürztraminer.
You just like saying that word.
I do. I like the word more than I like the wine. But it was one of the Thanksgiving wines that I'm finishing up because even though I know Thanksgiving is just right around the corner, we had Friendsgiving at my house with some of our really close friends. So to me, that feels like we already had Thanksgiving. And so this is one of the wines that we opened. It was the Friendsgiving wine because Gewürztraminer is one of the wines that goes with turkey. And I was told the way that you're supposed to pronounce it is girls are meaner.
I don't think that's right.
Ryan, I took offense to that. And Ryan was like, "See, you're proving the guy's point." I'm drinking a Gewürztraminer, which they have at Wink too. I've
seen a few of them on their website when I was picking out my next box.
Mm-hmm. It's a good fall white wine, but I do recommend guys going to trywink.com/www podcast to get $22 off your first order of a wine. And then you can always have wine mail coming to you every month because that's almost as good as book mail.
We just need to coordinate it. Somehow coordinate wine mail and book mail to come at the same time.
I can go with that.
And maybe somehow throw in chocolate mail and then we'll be set.
They do have those services.
I know.
So, Oubliettes is just such a fascinating topic and premise to the story. Can you explain that to our listeners, what it's about?
Sure, I would love to. So let me start by asking you both, do you know what an oubliette actually is?
Yes, I do. Michelle, you should know this. Do you know this?
I mean, I know it's something about forgetting, and because that's the French, but for some reason, I don't know. That could be totally wrong. But do you guys remember the movie Camelot with Richard Gere? And they threw Guinevere in that cave thing with no walls. Didn't they call that an oubliette too?
Oh, they might have. I remember the movie.
That's not what you're talking about.
Maybe
they might have. Yeah, I don't remember. But Michelle, if you remember, in the All Souls trilogy, there was an oubliette in there.
I'm like two glasses of
when Diana got thrown into the pit.
Oh yes. Okay, so it's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, that's what an oubliette. She got thrown into an oubliette. So, and it also comes up in Labyrinth. There is an oubliette in Labyrinth too.
Exactly. A lot of people remember it from the Labyrinth movie with David Bowie. When she was falling down and all the hands were around her and they're like, they're helping hands. That was an oubliette.
Yes, yes. I mean, how can you forget David Bowie in Labyrinth? The King of all.
I watched that movie for the first time at your house.
Of course. I enjoy all the good movies. And by the way, side note, when they had the Jim Henson's exhibit at the Jewish Museum in North Hollywood, Skirball Center. When they had the Jim Henson stuff, they actually had the costumes from Labyrinth. And guys, I kid you not, the cod piece on David Bowie's costume was
my. Okay.
it was either the man filled it or he had a really big ego.
You're just over there like, I see from this angle and over here.
Ryan was marveling at it too, and it was on one of those things that rotated. So he stood there for about 10 minutes just staring at the cod piece.
I love that. That's awesome.
You don't hear cod piece in everyday conversation anymore. So kudos to incorporating that.
I'm like vintage, baby.
Haven't heard oubliette often. Haven't heard cod piece very often.
Exactly.
All the new words tonight.
Yeah, I love it. You're bringing oubliette back. You're bringing cod piece back. So the long and short of it is that we know what an oubliette is, and by now our listeners should know what an oubliette is. It's where you throw people in to forget about them.
Exactly. And they had them in castles. So these were real places in many castles. The first time I heard the word myself was when they were talking about Lep Castle in Ireland, which is apparently one of the most haunted castles in Ireland. That's its claim to fame. Different ghost hunter shows and such have been there. And I was actually watching a documentary, I think it was on the Travel Channel, and they were talking about how when they emptied out the oubliette, they pulled out the bones from over 150 different people. And that's what struck me. That was like, and you ladies both understand this. That was the moment of inspiration where I thought, wow, all of these people had a story, right?
Yeah.
But it was lost. That story was lost through time. So whether they were the victim of somebody's revenge, maybe they were a murder victim, or they were a prisoner of war or a criminal, every story led them into this common grave. And it's actually very interesting because the history of Lep Castle is one where they say that it was built on this pagan ritual site. So that whatever was in this oubliette was something that is evil, like it draws evil to it. And throughout history, many different, obviously really bad things happen there. It's actually interesting because George R.R. Martin, with his whole idea of if you invite people over, you shouldn't be mean to them, you shouldn't kill them, like the whole premise of the Red Wedding. they say that that was actually inspired by Lep Castle, because what they did is they invited a warring tribe, like a family, over to have dinner, and then they basically killed them. They threw them into the oubliette. And the thing about the oubliette, it's not like you fall down there and you're instantly dead. You actually fall down there, and the intention is that you should live, so that while you're in the oubliette, you can still hear people up on the surface singing and dancing. You can smell the food that they're eating. Life is going on while you're 15 feet below everybody else, and your fate is sealed. You're going to slowly starve to death down there.
That is such an awful way to go.
It is.
We've got it bad now. That now is like worse than the past. No, I'm sorry. We are not throwing people down oubliettes on a regular basis.
The medieval torture network was pretty intense. They came up with some really twisted ways to make people just want to be dead.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's a really interesting way to put it, because that was it. It's like you're down there, you're about to die, and it's going to take several days. And at that point, you want to die. You just want it to be over with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was where the idea came from. So the book, obviously, those stories really are lost. We don't know them, but it's inspired by real events in history. There's different settings, and there's several different storylines, and each one is set at a different time in French history. And it's the story of somebody who ends up in the oubliette. And then there's a modern day tale of two sisters, and our hero, Veronica, is basically lured to this castle, and only she can save the spirits that are trapped inside its oubliette.
I love it.
Jinx, Michelle, you owe me a line. I know the story, it's in and of itself just gives me chills. I love the concept of it. And now we've talked about, it being based on, actual history and stuff like that, which of course I love. History nerd right here. Were there any specific stories within the oubliette that were actually based on history itself?
Yes, in a way. I don't want to say based on history, just because that's giving it just a little too much credence.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, the children's story in Oubliette is loosely based on the story of, and I hope I get it right, it's Richard III, I believe, in England, whose nephews, if you remember that.
The boys in the tower.
Yes, yes. So that idea was the inspiration for the children's story. So in Oubliette, it's a boy and a girl. In the real story, it was two boys, his two nephews. But I used that to kind of launch the whole story. Just that idea that somebody is standing in your way of an inheritance. Imagine that, and you're young and you're innocent, and you barely know what's going on in the world. You're maybe 11 years old, 8 years old. You don't understand the politics of the time. You don't understand what it even means for somebody to, be in line for some kind of a secession, and then to be betrayed by somebody in your family, an adult who you think you're supposed to be able to trust. Like, to me, that's terrifying. That's one of the most horrific things I can imagine for a young person.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, just thinking about that and putting that part into perspective, because it's still kind of a mystery as to what happened to the boys and who killed the boys, if I'm not mistaken. I think they found the boys' bodies, if I remember correctly, because they're finding a lot more of the bodies of these people from the Tudor time period. And they found the bodies, but no, they don't know for sure who killed them and how they died. And yeah, just the concept of that. And then throwing it in, day job is an estate planning paralegal. We fight so much. Our clients fight so much that it feels like family law. It's that dramatic. So yeah, throwing those in together, that's just heartbreaking and scary, and just, I swear there's nothing more terrifying than real life.
Isn't that the truth, though? I mean, really, we are so awful to one another sometimes.
Yes.
Well, and the English monarchy has like the market cornered on betrayal and treachery and intrigue and all of that drama. Maybe not necessarily entirely cornered, but they held their own for a good while.
They're pretty infamous, yes.
Yes, exactly. And the French too.
Mm-hmm.
One of the storylines is during the French Revolution, and hello, we all know what was going on then, you know, with the that's where the guillotine came into being. That's why we have a guillotine. And, you know, it was all a matter of standing up to the oppression that the people felt at the time, to Marie Antoinette. And, you know, we've heard the tales, whether it's true or not, let them eat cake. But it was really a rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened during that time in history is just devastating.
Mm-hmm.
And it's scary too, because people, when they react like that, it's not a matter of, oh, that happened a long, long time ago. It could never happen again. As you know, studying history, Diana, it repeats itself. It really does. We learn our lesson for a while, and then for whatever reason, we digress and we go back to it again. So one
of the quotes that I really love is a Mark Twain quote. And he said, "History doesn't repeat itself, but it sure as hell does rhyme." So even if it's not exactly repeating itself, it's got real similar threads. We have not learned anything as a people. That is the one thing I have learned as studying history, is we have learned nothing. We are no better than the medieval times, except for our hygiene and in most of the ways that we kill our fellow humans.
Well, hopefully the oubliette doesn't make a comeback, because I'm not okay with that.
Yes, hopefully not.
Were you able to visit the castle in your research? I feel like that is a legit reason to travel to Ireland. I mean, personally, book research.
It was, and I did. So the castle itself, it isn't like a typical tourist castle. So a lot of times people travel Europe and there's castles that you can go and visit, and you know, you pay your €12 and you're in and you get a tour. This castle is privately owned. So I had to call. I called up. Sean is his name. And I asked him if it was okay if I visited the castle. If I came and saw the oubliette, and I explained I'm an author and I'm writing about, you know, a story that's loosely based on it. Can I come and hang out and see it myself? And he said, sure. And so it was a very intimate experience, in the fact that it wasn't like we were with a big group of people, a tour. It was myself, my husband, and my daughter at the time, who traveled to Ireland. It's in the middle of Ireland too. It's, you know, you have Dublin on one side, and, you know, you have the bigger towns and cities. This was in very much an out of the way rural area. And he invited us in. We sat around his fireplace. He's a musician as well. So he had some CDs there that we bought, but he also played, I think it was a lute or something very similar to that. He himself was a little bit older, so he couldn't really walk the stairs to get to the oubliette. So one of his helpers guided us up there, and we stood in it's called the Bloody Chapel. And it was where they held, you know, religious ceremonies. And the oubliette itself there was an alcove, very similar to what you would see like with a fireplace, that kind of facade. And then there was actually a little bit of a ramp, or a little bit of an area that you would have to crawl, and then it dropped down. So it was really freaky.
Yeah, it's
in there and seeing that.
It sounds freaking. I mean, do they have lights in there where you can see all the way down, or is it just pitch black?
We were there during the day. And so the windows, I mean, it's not like there's glass. These are open windows. So there was plenty of light to see. But this was very ancient. Again, it wasn't like a castle that had, he was in the process of refurbishing it and redoing it. But it wasn't like there was, you know, light switches on the wall and you know, lanterns and everything. It was very, very primitive.
Wow, that just gives me shivers just thinking, listening to it, and just what an awesome travel experience to go to this ancient place and a non-touristy place, because really it's not a tourist trip, pun not intended.
That's a good pun now.
Well, thank you. It's such a cool idea and a cool concept, and just such a great memory too. And I love the fact that that helped to inspire this. Now, your Oubliette, is it set? The book itself, it's set. Refresh memories. Is it set in Ireland or is it set in France?
So yeah, my Oubliette is set in a castle in France. Again, Oubliettes weren't exclusive to Ireland. They were in many different European castles. And so my castle is basically a chateau that the young women from Los Angeles, Veronica is our hero, and she does interior decorating, and she's lured there. She starts getting mysterious phone calls. She is connected to this place in a way that I'm not going to reveal right now. And it is, you know, this draw that brings them there. And then the stories, all the different tales start to unravel, and they're all connected. They're all tied together. And she's the one who has the secret. She is the hero. She is on her journey, and she can save them if she chooses to.
Oh, I love it. It's so fantastic. Now, we can get this book anywhere, right? Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the regular players?
Yes, exactly. Obviously, Amazon, you can go to Barnes & Noble online, Walmart online, virtually any online location is going to have it. If you want to go to a bookstore, you can go in and you can ask them. If they don't have it on the shelf, you can ask them to order it, and they can do that.
Fantastic. Yes, because I feel like everybody needs this book, and I feel like this is a really good winter book. I mean, obviously you get the Halloween aspect to it because it's a mystery, but I feel like this is a mystery book that needs to be drunk with red wine.
Red with red wine.
I mean, Michelle and I are known for our wine pairings with our book, and definitely a red wine must be paired with this book on a cold winter night.
Yes.
This is a cozy book. You need blankets and fuzzy socks and wine.
And a teddy bear to grasp when you're scared.
Exactly.
All of the above. I mean, it's such a great story, and so I'm so glad we're able to have you on for it. And then you also do publicity with Black Chateau. Is it Black Chateau Enterprises is the official name?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So my company, my day job is I also help other authors to do their own publicity, their promotions. So we do lots of different events. We do online promotions. We have a website called Books That Make You. And we're actually even having a online party tomorrow night. It's called Jingle Books. And it's an annual party, and it's as easy as just going to the event page on Facebook. So if you're curious, just go to Facebook, look up Books That Make You. That's the name of the page. And then just go to the events, and you'll see tomorrow night, starting at 6 o'clock Pacific time, we start Jingle Books. And what that means is we're going to have several authors join us talking about their books. Some of them are going to do readings where they play a video of them reading from their book. We're going to have music. We're doing a contest. We're giving away books and all sorts of holiday goodies. So yeah, it's going to be a good time.
It sounds so fabulous. And we're going to share the links on all of our stuff for it. So for those of you who are listening, you guys kind of have a tendency to get this a day later by the time everything publishes. So it's going to be Friday the 16th, which we're recording on Thursday. So it's going to be tomorrow the 16th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Check our show notes. We will have links to the event page so you guys can go check it out. I know I will be popping in and out, checking it out, and enjoying it with everybody. And I know Michelle will be there.
It's an event that I can go to. I'm so used to Diana going to these events, and it's like, oh, it's in Santa Ana, or it's in LA, or San Diego. And I'm just like, prop me up on a laptop somewhere so I can watch.
Yeah, it was around the pit fire was through Black Chateau, which was a super fun event. I had so much fun with it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being, yeah, that was a good one. We always try to add some kind of a digital aspect. So we might do Facebook Live or we post highlights afterwards. And, even if you can't make the Jingle Books party, just follow Books That Make You. We're also on Instagram as well as Facebook because we're always doing events and our website has articles and book reviews and book lists and lots of bookish things.
Yeah, and it's always, I love sharing the other bookish places because, I mean, when you're into books, you want all the podcasts, you want all the blogs, all the magazines, and everybody covers something a little bit different. So it's nice to have this wonderful mix of literary entertainment. Even if you can't keep up with all the books, I mean, it's so cool to have that. And so I love the Books That Make You website. I love your logo. I love it. It's adorable.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, and here's the thing too. It's the time of the year for giving. And I honestly believe from the core of my being that one of the best gifts you can give to somebody else is a book because you're giving somebody a whole new world and adventure. And there's a book for everyone. That's the thing. So like you were saying, it's not just about, your one style or your one thing. Everybody does it a little bit differently. And that's the same thing with books. You could give somebody a cozy mystery or a thriller or a self-help book or a business book. There's something literally for everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like with us for the show, whenever we have anybody that is a journalist or cozy thrillers, I know that's all Michelle. If it's a journalist or the main character is a journalist in any way, shape, or form, I'm like, okay, automatic. They're going to be Michelle's going to like this.
It's my people.
Yeah, exactly. And she gets so excited. It's adorable. And then for me, obviously, historical fiction, strong female leads. I'm all about that. So I get the idea stuff from Michelle, like, hey, have you heard about this book yet? And 9 times out of 10, I most likely have, but still. So
yeah. Thought literally just flew right out of my head as I opened my mouth to say the words. It's been one of those days. My mind, I was telling Diana before the show started, I'm at the very, very end of my almost the end of my master's degree. And my mind is like shooting sparks. You can actually see the smoke coming out of my
out of this ear. I can see it coming.
I try to work it in with thank you. I try to work it in with my hairstyle to make it work, but I'm not always successful.
You nailed it. It looks good.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure to be able to chat with you because we are at the 30-minute mark, right?
Yeah, so. Just about there.
So thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure to have you with us. And you guys check out the links in our show notes for Jingle Books, right? I got the title right?
Jingle Books on Facebook. Yes.
Yes. Jingle Books on Facebook, and check out Oubliettes. So thank you guys. And next week we'll be on Wednesday with Melanie Johnson, we're going to cover romance next week. So thank you guys so much. Have a great night.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.